Hey guys, man, was super stoked. So a couple things really excited about. One, I got the Soulcon, you see it, Team Echo shirt. Oh man, love these. One thing about Soulcon is you can only get this green shirt if you go through a team. So now I know I have some of you guys that have been through a couple teams, but this green shirt you can only represent well and with pride if you go through a team. So cheers to everybody on Soulcon Team Echo, which we have 856 guys. We have a lot of guys that aren't on our private Facebook group, but to every one of you, well done. This last Sunday was Super Bowl Sunday and our first feast day after 6 days of Hell Week and 4 weeks without breaking on our diet. So praise God for delicious food. So that's, man, I'm really pumped about that. Make sure you grab your coffee. If you don't have coffee, get a cup of coffee. My goal with these videos is to be short and concise and consistent. So one of the things I have to ask for forgiveness, I missed the video last week. Man, last week was, it was intense. And my voice was going out a little bit. Over the last 2 weeks, I've had to wrestle with us speaking a ton. And I had the big men's event for First Baptist Moore on Saturday. So I did everything that I could to save the strength of my voice for that. So that's why I didn't make that video. But short, concise, and consistent are these weekly teaching videos, because we are warriors. And these videos are focused on warriors having coffee together. So grab your coffee. Cheers, team. And let's dive in. Man, today I want us to reflect on the life of King Solomon. King Solomon was a guy who had everything that he wanted. And a lot of us warriors will get tempted with the pride of life, with the lust of our flesh. And one of the pressures we can allow to come on ourselves is we need more money. We need to make a more successful career, a more successful name for ourselves. And Solomon, man, he had that. He had everything that we can imagine and more. And his conclusion, what he says in the book of Ecclesiastes, is amazing. And I have to share it with us. So Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 13 and 14. This is where King Solomon shares with us, so check it out. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. So Ecclesiastes is the last book from King Solomon on life. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments. Fear God and keep his commandments. Like that's the conclusion that you're going to share. So for this is man's all. For God will bring every work into judgment, including every secret thing, whether good or evil. Now, I want that to ring inside of our souls. The wisest man and the wealthiest man ever in history on this earth says, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments. For this is man's all. For God will bring every work into judgment, including every secret thing, whether good or evil. Now, the reason I share this today is we're dealing with the start of my book in Soulcon Challenge. I address head on, and I'm going to address, as long as I have life in this body, how fed up I am with a weak Christianity. Because there's nothing weak about following Jesus. It's not going and checking a box of going to church on Sunday so you can go off and live the life your body lusts for outside of church. It's not just putting on and dressing up to look pretty for Sunday events or church events and then living whatever you want to outside of church. That is not Christianity. Christianity, the heart of Christianity, is following Jesus wholeheartedly and making every excuse to obey Christ. Right now, we have a world where we're using grace to abound in sin, where we, to do that, brings destruction in our lives. Now, there's an interesting question that I hear a lot. Does God's grace stop when you sin? No. Does it give you an excuse to sin? No. Knowing the price that God paid for us gives us the passion to say, God, I want to honor you. God, I want to go all in for you, and I want to make an excuse to obey you. Because Jesus said it really simple. If you love me, obey my commands. King Solomon breaks it down in one of my favorite books in the Bible in the last 2 verses. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is man's all. For God will bring every work into judgment, including every secret thing, whether good or evil. My question for you today, are you making an excuse to obey God? Or are you justifying and making excuses to stay in sin? Here's the truth, men. This is a warrior community because warriors understand that the path that we walk on is not easy. We are not looking for a life of kicking our feet up, having the biggest mansion, blocking out all of our problems, and having this cush life. That's not a warrior. That's not a warrior. And that's not this community. This community is saying Christ paid everything so we can live, so we're going to lean into the suffering associated with self-discipline in our flesh and the suffering associated with the persecution of being an all-out, bold, born-again child of God. We are not looking for the easy day. We are longing, we're thirsting for the battle of advancing the kingdom. And let me tell you, you know it and I know it. It's a battle. And we are warriors in this together. And there's not one battle that will ever be executed flawlessly. So stop expecting in your life perfection and stop being surprised when you fall down. Every time you fall down, get right back up. Bounce right back up. This is why I have my dog tag. Every morning I put my dog tag on. Every night I take it off. I put my dog tag on, and as it goes over my head, I remind myself if Satan wants to get my heart, the passion, the spring of life from me, my heart, he's got to go through my head. And every morning I do my push-ups, this dog tag hits the ground 40 times and it comes back up every time. Because I remind myself it's easy. A push-up is easy if I was just to go down. It's easy to fall. It's common to fall. It takes strength to get back up. And I practice strength when there's not a war going on and it's just a battle between my flesh. Because when the war happens and Satan and the demonic realm attack, are you going to make an excuse to surrender your will to that kingdom? Or are you going to make an excuse to win and obey Jesus when it's uncomfortable? And that's what I want for today. As you're having your coffee and you're thinking about, you're meditating on God's goodness today, to say, are you living honorably and making excuses in your life to obey Jesus? Because we live in a culture today where so many different cultures, so many different churches, so many different denominations, so many different teachings will tell us that, man, don't do this, but this one's okay. But don't, no. Sin is, if you know it's wrong and you do it anyway, James 4:17 says, that is sin. We're warriors for Christ, and we don't have time to live and justify sin. We can't be surprised by it when it happens. We have to run to the cross and not from it. So that's my challenge today. Man, have a sober, alert mind, like Peter said in 1 Peter 5:8. Live the warrior life you're destined to live. You are destined to walk in the warrior life, but few choose to accept it. Why? Because it is the path of the most resistance. But I know as a trainer, resistance brings progress. Resistance brings strength, endurance. And let me tell you, this world needs men with strength and the ability to endure through hardships and be bold no matter what. So let that ring in your ear from King Solomon, from Jesus, from my heart to yours. Continue living the warrior life. We'll talk to you guys next week. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.